Bum 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 bum. Dun, dun, dun. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is your boy Dropping Dimes, aka the hopeful romantic, aka the feminist with chauvinist tendencies. And I'm out here with my crew, man. We're short a little bit on a couple people, but guess what? We still got the core here ready to go. We got a lot to talk about. As always, we got the NFL. It's the gift that keeps on giving all year round. There's always some good news about that. But let me introduce you to who I got here today with me. I got my man AK Brat.
Yeah.
I got my man Major Money, my man Dre, my man El Colombiano Javito. Man, ready to go. We're ready to go, man. So I wanted to lead in right away. We're going NFL draft talk. Let me tell you something, man. This NFL draft, there was a couple of headlines. Some of the headlines were the lack of quarterback in the class. Some of the headlines were Georgia's defense got rated for the NFL. Some of the subjects were teams that hit, teams that missed. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to know. I know my Giant fans. What did you guys think about your draft? Javi, Dre, what do you guys feel about your draft?
Yo, I think the Giants had one of the best drafts.
I think Dre froze.
Yo.
You good, Dre?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go for it, bro.
I'm here. Yeah, because I'm saying, man, this is like the best draft that I've seen as a Giant fan. As far as the need and the picks that we got, like Thibodeau being the in the
Yeah, he's freezing on us. Dre, we'll try to get back to you. Javi, what are your thoughts?
So let me just pick up from where he was saying, like, Thibodeau. Like, obviously, he was rated pretty high. We needed an edge rusher, so it just kind of worked out, right? It was one of those things that, we had the number 5 and the number 7 pick. So, logically, when we got to the point of being at the 5 spot and there was the 3 best offensive tackles still on the board.
Exactly.
We said, you know what? Let's just go with the logical pick. Let's get the edge guy, because on the next pick, we're going to get one of the top 3 tackles regardless, right?
Evan Neal. Yes, sir.
So then, we got Evan Neal as the
7th pick.
And then after that, we went to the second round, and this is where I got a little confused, right? We went after a small receiver. Right. And that's where I was just there like, all right, you know what? Maybe there is no logic behind this. Maybe now we're just, reaching. And maybe this is just one of those things that Dabble, which is more offensive minded, said, I want these type of guys. But then you go, then they, on top of that, they trade, they kept on trading back, in the third round. And then, we picked up the guard. And that's when I started to see, all right, we're back on track. We're trying to basically pick this up. 4th round, we pick a cornerback. And I'm like, all right, so now we're just building. Bro, we had 11 picks.
Yeah.
11 picks in this draft, right? And Sean, basically started wheeling and dealing, and that's why we got, in the third round, we also got a guard.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So after that, we went to get, Bellinger at the tight end in round 4. Then we got a safety, Dane Belton in round 4. All right.
Right.
And now round 5, we went after McFadden from Indiana. All right. A linebacker, because in my head, I'm just there like the whole time, while this is happening, I wanted the guy that went to the Eagles.
Nakobe Dean.
All right?
Yeah.
Nakobe Dean. I'm in the third round saying Nakobe Dean. But, I guess Sean was just there like, I don't know what, but when I kept on looking at these draft picks continuously, he picked up another guard in the 5th round. And then he picked up another linebacker, which was pretty good on that defense of Cincinnati in the 6th round, Darian Beavers. That guy in the 6th round, number 182, he might come and help in right away.
As a linebacker, yes, he will.
So, like, as far as what the Giants thinks, they addressed a lot of their needs, and I'm fine with that,
Right.
And like Dre said, I felt like one of the best drafts the Giants ever had. Obviously, having 11 picks, you know, like all you got
that helps.
You know, having 11 picks helps out. So,
Yeah.
but even if we hit on just, you know, 2 or 3 of those
2 or
guys,
3, bro, that we get to
yeah,
re-sign at the end of their rookie deals, bro.
you know, that's a win because the Giants
Yeah.
have not re-signed any of their number 1 draft picks from the last like 4 to 5 years.
Right, man.
You know, but I you know, as a Giant fan, I'm happy what they did. You know, but if we're gonna just talk about the draft, you know, I'm just gonna lead you into it, Mike. The Jets had a hell of a draft, you know, in my opinion, and you know, they addressed everything that they needed. You know, they're gonna help out their. They're definitely gonna help out their quarterback. You know, they got not only a great receiver, they also picked up a very good running back in the second round. You know, so and then not only that, picked up key defensive players like Jermaine Johnson. I'm sorry, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you guys did. To me, I think the Jets did their thing.
I think, so when I came into the what do you call it, I was very curious because I heard a lot about Kyle Hamilton. I kept hearing Kyle Hamilton to the Jets, Kyle Hamilton to the Jets, and just like I felt with the Ravens, and with them, I was like, he's a great player, but does that make us better, especially in the division that we're in? You know what I'm saying? We're in a division that Miami got better and got speed, and they're going to score points.
Right.
We have New England's always New England, and we have Buffalo who's going to score points.
Right.
Like, okay, so let's say we put up a decent defense. Can we score with these teams? Our wide receiving core was like a pee-wee football team at one point. It was really bad, man. It was really bad. They had out of 32 teams, I think they had us ranked like 33 because they had like a second tier of wide receivers. I want to say it's for Kansas City or something like that, ranked ahead of us. That's how bad we were, right? So we go out and we pick. To me, in the early part of the draft, it was a toss-up, right, for the best wide receiver. And I believe that we got him. We got Wilson. Wilson is physical. Wilson is a high point. He catches the ball anywhere. He has phenomenal hands. He's gonna find his way open. He's got some speed. I really liked him. Breece Hall. Breece Hall is coming in to play right away. His skill set is in the vein of an early Le'Veon Bell, where he was a very good receiver out of the backfield. Very good receiver out of the backfield. He does know how to run between the tackles. He has even as a rookie, he has a veteran feel because he played for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? He's a starter. You know what I'm saying? He played a lot of games. So he comes in with this veteran feel. I'm very happy with him. The one that I'll be honest with you, that I'm ecstatic about is Johnson falling to us. Johnson had an early first round grade that if he would have gone top 10, nobody would have blinked an eye. Right? It would have been no big deal. The fact that we were able to get him where we got him, right, at the value we got him for, I was like, this dude, we're going to team him up with Shaq Lawson, the other defensive end, not Shaq Lawson. Shaq Lawson, who was poised to have a phenomenal year last year and got hurt. I think that we're in very, very good shape. But my favorite pick was Sauce. Sauce, to me, was the best corner in the draft. The best. Better than, if you go skill set for skill set, right? I say Stingley was a monster. Stingley was a monster, but he didn't show me anything in the back half of his college career. Maybe he went into cruise control. I don't know. But for the time that Sauce was there, he was a shutdown corner. He's not a one-on-one corner. He's definitely a zone. So he's not a Darrell Revis. He's definitely more like a what's his name from the Legion of Boom? man, the guy from what's his name?
Sherman.
He's more of a Sherman. He's more of a Sherman. He's going to lock down his part of the field. You're not going to have to worry about that zone. He's not going to travel, but he's going to lock down his area. That's him. That's who Bryce Hall is. I mean, that's who Sauce is. I was really happy. I think that supposedly we're not done. There's one or two moves that the Jets are still going to make. But for the first time in a long time, I walked out of the draft happy. Because in the past, I've been happy with one pick. We had a good draft. We had a decent draft. This is the first time that I walk out of it, I'm like, I see the vision of what he's trying to build. You know what I mean? And that's so rare as a Jet fan. As a Jet fan, it's almost impossible to have the vision. You know what I mean? Usually it's so vague, picking players, this, that. No, they actually have a vision now. Build around Zach Wilson. Let's see what he can bring to the table. We have a decent receiving core. We have a set of running backs. Because our running back last year was really good, man. The running back out of North Carolina, he was the rookie. He was a beast. So we're going to be all right. We're going to be good. I'm very happy. Akil, what are your thoughts on Philadelphia?
I think Philadelphia had a good draft. We needed secondary help. We didn't take one corner or safety. That's the only downside. We took who was rated as the best defensive lineman in college football last year. The question is going to be, is he an every down player? In Georgia, they didn't want him going down up the field to rush the quarterback. So let's see how that develops. He's got Fletcher Cox, who to me is the second best defensive tackle of the last 10 years, to learn under for maybe one more year. But that could be a game changer because that's already the strength of our team is our defensive tackles. We got Hargrove, who was a Pro Bowler. We got Cox, and we got Milton Williams, one of our high picks last year. So you hit it there. I love Kyle Hamilton, man. I wanted them to take Hamilton, but I get the build from the inside always. So that's Davis. And then with the second pick, we traded that and the 101 pick for Brown. I mean, in any metric you use, he's a top 10 receiver in the league. And that means the guys on top of him, you're talking about Devontae Adams and Hopkins and guys like that, right? Like he's in that next tier. We were talking about giving up potentially a first and a second or something for Metcalf. I mean, I think Metcalf is probably still got a little bit more upside because of the size and speed, but they're pretty comparable in the sense of they're going to produce, and we got him for less. We got Jason Kelsey's replacement. Jason Kelsey's been the best center in football for the last 10 years. He's a Hall of Famer. Hopefully this guy works out. I wasn't thrilled about using our second round pick on a lineman, but that's where it goes back to where Javi said with Nakobe Dean. Look, I'm excited about him. I saw him play some, and he seemed like he was sideline to sideline, right? He seemed like he had speed. He seemed like he had strength. I was looking at some metrics. They're ridiculous. Like he was top 5% in pass rate for linebackers in his position, and also like top 8% in coverage skill. Right? Pretty crazy. But I also take that with caution because it's not like everybody just passed up on him once. Everybody in the league passed up on him twice and some 3 times. So there's got to be, these people literally do this for a living as far as it's obviously not his skill. So there must be some injury history. It can't just be his size that dropped him.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the injury history is they're very cautious because of the aggression he plays with. There could be a likelihood of that injury reoccurring. You know what I'm saying? Because of the type of play he plays. You know me. We talked yesterday. I am absolutely a huge fan of Nakobe Dean. Like for me to give these type of accolades, and again, not necessarily you mentioned the skill set as and some of the tangibles, some of the things that he does, but as a leader, mind you had 6 guys taken in the first round. So you were with a bunch of alpha males, and in those alpha males, you were the alpha, the unquestioned leader of that defense. His football IQ is number 1 in the nation. There's nobody in the nation, right, that has a football IQ at the level of Nakobe Dean. He sees things before they happen. I was saying that the person that I equate him to, there's 2. There's like a London Fletcher, where he's undersized, but he's the unquestioned leader of the team, or a Luke Kuechly that was just so far and away, head and shoulders mentally above the rest of the team. But you mix that with the respect and the energy that a Ray Lewis bring. He's not as physical, he's not as big, but he brings that type of that you feel him in the room when he brings the team together. He's the one that's going to talk. He's the one that's going to yell. He's the one that's going to scream, get the team hyped up. That's that version. You know what I'm saying? So listen, I'm super. If he can stay healthy, he is a Pro Bowl linebacker. I'm telling you, I don't just throw that around. You know, I watch a lot of college football. He is a Pro Bowl linebacker if and only if he can stay healthy. But he's a monster.
Yeah. Mike feels about N'Kobe Dean how I feel about the first Nas album, apparently. Pretty high on it. But I hear you, and I'll add one more thing about the draft, Mike. I thought on the low, I thought Houston had a good draft. Now, you're looking for a quarterback. You don't know if Davis Mills is the guy, obviously, but like you got to look at these drafts on more than just what is their immediate need right now and what are they drafting. This is a 2 or 3 year plan for the Jets. This is a 2 or 3 year plan for the Giants, to some extent for the Eagles. Like for most of the 20 plus teams, this is a 2 year plan. It's not a 5 year plan. I respect that, but it's a 2 year plan. So if they don't address all of the needs that we think immediately, you know, it doesn't mean that it wasn't a good draft. And Houston went out and got Stingley, who has the upside to be a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. And we've seen it on the field. Let's see where it goes from here. There was a lot of players who didn't play a year after COVID, and we were worried about that. And they ended up being Jamar Chase and other players who have absolutely killed it. So I think that Stingley was a good pick. They got Green, the offensive lineman too from A&M, I believe. He was a highly rated right or left tackle. They addressed a couple of different needs. And then it goes back to the fact that I think Javi said earlier, like literally who had a good draft? You go to any of the draft ranking websites and the one common denominator is 8 of the 9 of those top 12 or 13 teams had the most draft picks. So, you had
the opportunity to take risks.
Yeah. Miami had what, a 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th, but there's other teams like Seattle, like the Jets, like, Green Bay and Kansas City. And, a lot of those teams that traded their wide receivers, it looks like they had fantastic drafts. Baltimore shout out too. Like they got a lot of good players.
Let's talk about Baltimore. So yesterday I brought it up because I was like, I personally don't see the what do you call it? I don't see the plan. I don't see it, man. You have a Lamar Jackson. You say that you want to run your offense around him. Why would you not supply him with the tools that he needs?
They got offensive line. If they didn't believe in any of the wide receivers at that time, then don't force that. If there's another player there that could be a game changer, that could be an all-pro at another position. I'm not in favor of drafting wide receivers consecutively high, and I don't know. I think that's one of the positions you can get. Like they're always available. Javi?
I don't know why you think it's that bad, to tell you the truth. I mean, I thought it was a great draft by the Ravens. I understand that they didn't pick up a receiver that, we all thought that they should have gotten. But at the same time, they addressed one of their big needs was basically one of the best offensive linemen that they probably got out of the draft at the best center in basically all of college football. They got, the best safety. So they just ramped up their defensive backfield with Kyle Hamilton. And then in the second round, if Ajabo comes back, healthy, he's just gonna, take off, man. Like this guy's before the injury, he was one of the top defensive players in the nation. And then you pick up Travis Jones, and then they pick up another offensive tackle late, in the late in the 4th round. I'll pick up another cornerback from Alabama. So, Alabama always brings up a good product. I don't know, man. I kind of feel like they did what they had to do. Now, obviously, we'll go around 4 and say, why the hell did they pick up a punter? But, hey, at this point, how do you knock the Ravens? The Ravens have been drafting well for the past 15 years, almost their whole franchise history. If you really think about it.
Yes, I look. I want to preface what I'm saying. Like, they didn't have a bad draft. I just was a little confused because you basically said we need Lamar Jackson to be more Lamar Jackson. We're going to put it all on his shoulders on offense. We have a tight end We lost Hollywood Brown. We do believe in Bateman. But now what? Now what? Now, as good as he is, and he's a generational talent, we've already seen what happens when we don't give him weapons. We've seen what happens. We know what happens when he gets no weapons. He's gonna get 8 in the box. They're gonna play run-heavy defense. They're gonna maybe double team the tight end. It's over. Like, so I'm like, give me something to be successful. Give me something to open up the even if it's a speed guy to open up the field. Even if it's a decoy, I don't care. Lie to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what defenses do you think they're going to face week in, week out? What's different from last year that they're going to face? Nothing. And how is Kyle Hamilton, right, going to help you with that?
He's going to keep the other team off. He's going to give you the ball back more. He may create a couple turnovers. He's going to stop some third downs. He's going to give you more opportunities. Wide receiver is the one position that it can become open. Like, you can have a star on the market tomorrow.
Yes.
So who's to say they're not going to go up and get something before the season starts? We haven't gone through training camp. We haven't gone through. There's a lot of time before this roster is final. When you take guys who have the potential to be generational at safety, at cornerback, potentially a guy who's coming off an injury, getting devalued at end. And if you think at those corresponding times, at 14 in the first round, in their second round when you're drafting, in the third round when you're drafting, that they're just much better football players than the wide receivers available, you better draft those football players. You know what I mean? Like, that's another thing. Like, yes, they can compete this year, so they need to get stronger at wide receiver. I would guess that at some point they will before the season starts. But they'll go into it because wide receivers are always available. You're always going to be able to get somebody you want to throw out a first-round pick or second-round pick.
I'm excited. Look, that's what I want to see. I said it yesterday, and I've said it during the draft. I thought that they were going to end up with Deebo Samuels. If they end up with a Deebo Samuels type player, that's exactly what the Ravens need. A run threat, a pass threat, somebody who's going to complement a Lamar Jackson. Because if you look at their team, they have running backs. They have running back Dobson. They got running backs by committee. They have Bateman on the outside as the long. I guess he would be the wide receiver. They have a tight end, all-pro tight end. You know what I mean? You're gonna have a decent offensive line protecting. Why not give him that one? That he look at the AFC. Is he not the only quarterback without a true number one? Name me another quarterback in the AFC without a true number one. Nobody.
But, like, you mean like out of the top quarterbacks? Because I could say the Patriots.
Mac Joe, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I have no idea who their main receiver is.
You're right.
No clue.
They don't have a main receiver.
That's what I'm saying. Right now, I know that. Did the Tennessee Titans draft a wide receiver? Yes, they did, right? So I guess that's going to be their wide receiver once they gave up A.J. Brown. What about the Texans? Who do they have?
But that's why they're the Texans.
Yeah,
you know
I know. That's why. I agree with you, Mike. To me, I was like, they're going to pick up a receiver, like a star receiver, because there's enough of those guys that you could probably just plug in, and especially knowing about the Hollywood Brown trade, which I always said I don't know why they call him Hollywood. But anyways, that's different. He's not there anymore, so they don't have that speed guy, right? So now I'm just trying to figure out, we're picking up the center and picking up a couple of linemen in the draft. Feels like they're just going to go and just let Lamar be the quarterback he's been.
And we know that doesn't work. Look, not that it doesn't work, but there comes a point where the teams figure him out, and that's it. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
it's obvious, he's a winner. Don't get me wrong. In the regular season, he's going to win. But, when it comes to the playoffs, you need those threats to kind of give him that, let's just say, space, to operate, because that's what he needs. You give him more space, the deadlier he becomes. You have a receiver that's a threat. That means that the defense has to plan for that threat now. You'd have dual threats or triple threats, considering that Mark Andrews is still a threat. it makes it that much harder to basically just put a containment around Lamar Jackson.
Yes. That's all I'm asking, Javi.
I think we've been asking this for the last 4 years, bro.
Yeah, pretty much, basically. Yes.
Because I've been saying the same thing. I'm just there, like, I think Lamar Jackson, out of all the quarterbacks, consistently does not have that go-to guy, besides Mark Andrews. But I'm talking about wide receiver position. Right. We get the tight end. We know Mark Andrews is a top 3 tight end in the NFL. Nobody's taken away from that. But who stretches the field for you? Who's the one that has those hands? Because Hollywood Brown would be able to stretch the field, but he'll make a lot of drops at the same time too. So who's reliable? Is Bateman going to pick it up in the second year? Well, I guess that's what they're banking on, right?
Yeah, that's big what they're trying to say, right?
Yeah, I think that's what they're banking on. That's what it looks like, because at the same time, it wasn't like the Ravens wanted to trade Hollywood Brown. I mean, what's his real name? Because I don't want to call him Hollywood Brown anymore. Man.
I don't remember.
Marquise Brown.
Yeah, he's from right here. He's from Hollywood. That's why they call him that.
Well, but it makes you think like Hollywood, like from California.
Hollywood.
Right. But anyways, what I'm saying by that is
not North Miami.
Hey, don't get me wrong, man. Football's huge out here, so it's like with him leaving because he requested the trade. So it wasn't against it. He's saying it's nothing against Lamar Jackson. He just feels like he wasn't properly used.
Right.
In my head, that's a little like dig at Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Because if he doesn't think he's properly used, I'm thinking to myself, my man, you're really not a number one in any system. In any system. So I'm just not too sure. Now you're going to go to Kyler Murray's system, which is kind of the same thing a little bit. Not exactly more running, but Kyler Murray's going to stay in the pocket just a little bit more. But once he's gone, he's gone. So Hollywood Brown has to be doing kind of the same thing.
Right.
Doing the drills. All right. This guy's on the run. I got to try to get open now.
Right.
But yeah, man. I think going back to the Ravens, I think their draft was very well. For what they did. Yes, I feel like they could have got a receiver. But how do I go against a team that, again, I'll repeat, for 15, 20 years since the franchise has been there, they've been drafting pretty damn well, and they're consistently winning. They're consistently making the playoffs. It's kind of weird, but, you just got to give it to the Ravens franchise because they know what they're doing. On the flip side, you would think, with the Patriots, what they did, knowing that Bill Belichick is usually – you just don't know what the hell he did because right now I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's a good draft because, I don't see it, and all these players just don't ring a bell. But, hey, that's Bill Belichick, who's always been. He should know a lot more than us, obviously. He's won, 9 Super Bowls as a coach, so.
He went up and got a guard that he could have gotten 2 rounds later. That was like, wow, I don't get that. He went and got a guard that he could have gotten 2 rounds later. They got another running back. I don't know. He's like you said, it's like one of those situations where how do you doubt him? But then at the same time, you scratch your head like, I don't know what I just saw. I don't know what the plan is, but maybe that's the genius in it. That we
I mean, last year, when they made the playoffs, we were like, holy cow, he's back, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, here we are looking at the draft and we're like, well, maybe it might have been just a little luckier last year than anything because, but we'll see because, look, man, I think he's the GOAT of coaches, but I don't know. I don't know if maybe the game might be catching up to him. Maybe, it gets to the point that, what goes up must come down, right? So it's one of those things that's just not too sure exactly what the Patriots are doing. But, hey, they made the playoffs last year, but I actually feel like the Dolphins got better than them. And if the Jets could pull it together, I think the Jets as a team talent-wise is better than the Patriots. Now it just comes down to coaching, right? Now it's just basically, making sure your X's and O's are better than Belichick's, which usually they're not. But now with the talent that you have, some of those mistakes with the X's and O's can be mitigated by this talent that you just drafted, and that you have. So let's see what happens because I think the AFC East is another division besides the AFC West to watch because of everything that just happened within the draft and in the offseason. obviously with Tyreek Hill moving to the Miami Dolphins, obviously in Miami there's two to watch right now. Is he that guy or
he's on the clock?
He's on the clock right now. Right now, we got Wilson in his second year with better talent around him. So he should be able to prove something. Mac Jones as a rookie last year was good. He wasn't great. He kind of managed it. Will he step up to be what?
He didn't lose them games.
No, he didn't lose them games. But it's year 2 now with Wilson. Are you going to go win games now? Yeah. And then obviously, the front runners there are the Buffalo Bills.
Oh.
If the Bills just get a little bit better, I would say just running the ball, and because, running the ball takes some clock away. I understand they're a high-powered offense, but I still think if they were to just slow it down just a little bit, and keep their defense, let's just say, ready and just, not tired, maybe they don't have to always outscore somebody 40-35.
That's what I was about to say. I think you make a good point because they find themselves in shootouts.
All the time. And they need to. I mean, don't get me wrong. When they played there was no shootout in the first playoff game against the Patriots. They just destroyed them, right? But we're talking about when you start getting into the next rounds. You get the offenses are going to be better. Obviously, the Patriots offense was just horrible. It wasn't really that good last year. When you got to go and basically score 40 points to win a game in the playoffs, and especially if you're not running the ball, you're not letting your defense rest at all. And it gets to the point when you're facing these offenses that are just going to consistently get at you the same way that the Bills get at you, because it's going to be now the Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be the Chargers. It's going to be, if it's not with Deshaun Watson with the Browns, all these teams are just going to be able to score 40 points. If you could run the ball, now it doesn't have to be 40-35. Maybe maybe that defense is good enough to make more stops if you keep them well rested.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that so I saw a list, right, that said they listed power rankings for the quarterbacks. And I was man, I'm gonna read you some of the names and you tell me if you think the order was correct. Because I had an issue with the order, man. I was like, and I'll tell you what my issue was right away. Let's start off.
But I think I know what you're into. Did you post this the other day?
Yeah.
So my whole thing with that is I think they're projecting them to be this good. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to what we've seen already. I think they're projecting them to be this. But go ahead, go with the list, Mike.
Yeah. Because I saw they put Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes, and I'm like, he's lost to him twice head to head. Not only that, but Patrick has gone to the Super Bowl. He's been a Super Bowl MVP, right? Wasn't he a Super Bowl MVP? Yeah. What do you go? I'm like, how are you? I just feel like Josh Allen is number 2 still. Until maybe this year, he might be able to pass him.
I think that's the whole thing. They're projecting him. Let's take into accountability that Tyreek Hill's no longer there anymore, right? Yeah. So your weapons make you a little bit of who you are, right? And they don't. Now Patrick Mahomes doesn't got that guy that he could throw a 5-yard little route that could take it for 80 right now. So maybe that's what they're looking at the same time too. But let's just say this. Let's ask this question then. If I'm to take Josh Allen and put him on the Kansas City Chiefs, are they better or are they worse?
They're not better. They're baby to save, but they're not better.
I agree with Jay. It may be the same, but I don't think better. Not yet, no.
Okay.
No, I think
I'm not taking anything away from them.
I got you. So now take Patrick Mahomes and put him on the Bills. Are they better?
I think because of his improvisation and his ability.
I think they are because of just because of Stephon Diggs and his route running and his IQ and stuff like that. They may be able to have some sort of chemistry with scrambling and getting open and stuff like that. But I can't say for sure either.
The only thing that I see Patrick Mahomes, right, what I really appreciate that he does just a little bit better than Allen is improvisation.
Right.
Shit breaks down.
That
How
part.
he run north south? He's a beast. He's an athlete. Don't get me wrong. But but I find that even him, when he starts to run, he starts to run. Where
Right.
Mahomes, he may start to run, stop,
And
downfield.
already know that he's still gonna pass it, but he's just throwing you off and shit.
That's the only thing right now.
Okay,
but again, it's very close to call for me. But here's another one. I got a question for you. What about
go for it?
Justin Herbert at 4.
Not yet.
He's It's all projections right now, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get where they're going with this, because
Where's Deshaun on the list?
9, 8, behind Derek Carr, behind Lamar, behind Russell. So it's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson.
Nah, that's inaccurate.
What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think that even though Deshaun hasn't played in a couple years, maybe it's a little bit of that "what have you done for me lately" shit. But Deshaun Watson is better than the number 8 quarterback in the NFL.
I think potentially he is, but I understand why they put him there because of the fact that he hasn't played and he's going to be suspended. I go back. My thing was the Justin Herbert. What has he done?
Nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Does he have?
He hasn't done anything.
I mean, I look, man. That he can be right.
He's gonna be. He's gonna be, Javi. But he has weapons.
I've said this from day one. I'm like, the guy has a lot of weapons there, and let's not make a mistake. They are good. That offense is good. It was good prior to him, and it's still good with him.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of always I'm there let's pump the brake on Justin Herbert a little bit. I know he looks good, but I'm but
he passed the eye test.
But
he definitely passed the eye test.
He's kind of
looks like an NFL quarterback.
He's been doing what Phillip Rivers did for basically 15 years there.
Yeah.
So let's not anoint him the best quarterback in the or the top 4 quarterback yet, because he hasn't gone to the playoffs. And Phillip Rivers, I think, got into the playoffs his first season as a starting quarterback.
Lamar has done more. Lamar has done more. Russell has done more. This list is ridiculous.
I agree.
I want to say something, but I don't want to get political. And I'll tell you guys after the show. But I already know what's going on.
No, I mean,
you see the white dudes in front of the black dudes?
Yeah, there it is.
I mean, they want to protect that narrative, man. The narrative is the tall white guy is the quarterback, and that's not happening. You got Tua, you got freaking Mahomes, who's half and half. You got,
who the first quarterback drafted in one of my fantasy drafts was last year?
Who's that?
Because he didn't even make this list. Kyler Murray.
Right.
Now I'm not saying he should have been the first quarterback chosen. But that guy is not a top 10 quarterback in the league all of a sudden.
Yeah,
that's weird, right?
Derek Carr, you'd rather have Derek Carr than
Derek Carr.
You put Derek Carr over Deshaun Watson. There's no world in the universe you're putting him over Deshaun Watson.
Well, let me go. I'm going to protect my boy Carr. All right, I'm going to protect my boy Carr a little bit on this one. The reason why is because I like the guy.
I like the guy too.
I think he's a hell of a leader, man. And what they went through last year, and to still get that team into the playoffs, remember, and Darren Waller was hurt a lot throughout the season, man. You know what I'm saying? That kid was making comebacks. You know what I'm saying? He lost his number 1 receiver because of that accident. Waller was hurt, and I'm not trying to say talent-wise that he might be better than Kyler Murray, but I'd rather have a Derek Carr leading my team than a Kyler Murray, because right now I'm seeing Kyler Murray a little bit kind of in between of really trying to step into that role and not owning the bad play. You know what I'm saying?
If it's leading, then Tom Brady should be on the list.
Tom Brady should be on the list.
Oh, yeah.
If it's leading the team, then he's better than freaking Derek Carr at that shit.
Tim Tebow should be on the list.
So then they're pushing the goalpost.
You know what I'm saying?
As far as what the.
No, I hear you, Dre, and That's why when like with the whole Justin Herbert thing, it kind of kills me because I'm just there like he has a bunch of weapons. Phillip Rivers was doing this prior to that. To me, I always look at who doesn't have the weapons.
You asked the question before, Javi.
What?
If we put Justin Herbert on the Baltimore Ravens, are they better or worse?
I think they're worse.
They're worse.
They're worse.
Yeah.
All right. So even those guys on the list, not to even push the same narrative that I was saying before. If it's projections, isn't Matt Stafford, shouldn't he be projected to be better than some of those guys?
This is AFC only.
AFC only.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quarterback that I was like, hey, you know what? What with the disrespect, bro? This guy was an MVP. Matt Ryan.
Bro. Matty Ice. You heard what the owner of the Colts said. He went a little over the cliff. He said that since he's something since Peyton Manning, I guess he forgot they had Andrew Luck and shit.
Well, that guy's a drunk, so whatever.
They're not going to win nothing. Matt Ryan, props to him. He's from the Philly area, BC, all that. He's too old, man.
He's not the same. He's not the
He's
same.
not the same quarterback.
But you can't take away what he did. That's Matty Ice, man.
No, I'm not trying to do that. But I don't think he's helping. He's getting the close to contenders.
Let me ask you this question: you put Justin Herbert on the Colts. Are they a better team than putting Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
Yes. Because of T.Y. Hilton. And for other reasons as well.
And he moves.
Because the kid could throw.
And he's physical. He's a physical guy.
And it's a good offensive line.
He just ain't a top 5 quarterback. It's not a knock on him. He's a baller. He just ain't no top 5 quarterback right now.
Exactly.
Well, he's not winning those games anymore like he used to.
I'm talking about Herbert.
He's talking about Herbert.
All right,
and I like Herbert a lot. But I don't like what they do to these guys. They put added pressure on these guys too early.
That's what makes them more money, though, Dre.
That's facts.
That's
facts.
All right, so we're going to transition, guys. We're going to go over to something big that's going on right now, NBA playoffs. There's some really good series, man.
Hey, Kay, how you doing over there, brother?
Can I have my 1 minute play? First of all, don't say anything about the game. Don't say anything about the game. I'm recording it, so please don't say scores.
No doubt.
Let me say this. What happened in the Game 6 against the Raptors was a coaching travesty. I've never seen it. It doesn't happen. And there's only one explanation. What I'm referring to is you're up 28, 29, 30 points by 8 minutes left in the game.
Right.
You keep in your old point guard, an injury-prone, already injured center, to 7 minutes. Lead's not dwindling to 6 minutes. Lead's not dwindling to 5 minutes. Lead's not dwindling to 4 minutes. I mean, once 6 minutes comes around, you're still in the 30-plus up range. You want to keep in Harris. You want to keep in Maxey. You want to keep in Green. I disagree. But those guys are either younger or not your one or two best players who's already hurt or old. The fact that these guys are clowning around out there, doing airplanes, dunking, the coach is keeping them out, I've never in my life screamed. I never in my life remember screaming at a TV, take your guys out, take your guys out. And at the 5 minute mark, when Harden almost came down on somebody's foot, he still kept them in. With the rationale that, in this league, you keep people into the third or fourth. No, if you get down by 20, if they come within 20, you could put your guy back in with 3-4 minutes left. It was egregious. Mathematically, they couldn't have won if we held the ball. It was the most and it cost us the chance to contend.
Right.
And to me, and just for icing on the cake, on Monday, he pulls the starters with 3.5, 4 minutes left because we are down by 15 points. Then we get within 12, 11, 13, doesn't put them back in.
Right.
Which I've never seen a coaching decision like this. I truly hope that Doc Rivers wants to leave, so that way there's no decision making from our guys to even potentially keep him.
AK, do you think that Doc is so caught up in trying to come out of the hole that he's in personally, that he's coaching for himself and not the team?
Well, I think that the only
elaborate on that.
I
What are you talking about?
racked up my brain on this, thinking about this. I racked my brain. Like the only possible explanation is he's so shook from blowing so many leads
Right,
that's why he kept him in. And if that's the case, then yes, he fucked up. He messed up this
right,
situation for us
right. It's
because of his
affecting his.
own
That's
fears.
what I'm saying.
And that
He-
is it's inexcusable, man. And
right.
Doc Rivers also, I've noticed he's doing the same thing he did last year. We were the fans and the press, through the fans here, were asking him towards the end of the year, what about Ben Simmons? What about Ben Simmons? He can't shoot this shot at the end. And he would mock them. He's like, you want me to take Ben Simmons out with 4 minutes left in the game? Oh, yeah, you don't know nothing about basketball. 2 weeks
Right.
later, he's taking Ben Simmons out with 4 minutes left in the game. You guys
Right.
don't know what a treasure you have in Philadelphia and Ben Simmons. He doesn't. If I were him, I wouldn't want to play. Look what happens. Completely choked. Right. And now this year, what he's doing is the same thing. Like, oh, I wish you guys would give context on my 3-1 losses. I was an 8 seed. You know, we didn't have home court advantage. You know, like, I wish you could, I feel like because he's now top 5 in wins, all that, he needs to be in a place where they're not so passionate. They're not going to criticize him so much. And I definitely wouldn't give him the keys to a contender. I like the guy. I think he's a good guy. I don't know him personally. It seems like he's a good guy. It seems like he cares. All of that. There's not an attack on his character. It's legit his ability to coach. Last thing I'm going to talk about, so I don't monopolize this segment, is I've never seen a coach with playoff rotations like Doc Rivers. Last year, throughout his whole career up till this year, he was bringing in new 5. You look at any box score, you play 2 to 3 players off the bench in the playoffs. You don't play 5. You don't do that. And he was doing that. And now he started to kind of crunch it down, but he's still putting DeAndre Jordan out there. So I have many complaints, but what I saw was egregious. I'm going to give up the floor.
What do you call it? We got some good series, man. What is of all the series, what's one that you're watching closely that you're like, yo, this is going to be a little more competitive than I thought?
Boston, Milwaukee. I'll say it again. Boston and Milwaukee. I also have to say shout out to the Grizzlies because they're learning as they go. And they remind me of my Warriors a few years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm proud of them, man. They stuck it out last night. They found a way and they got that shit done. Make it a little tough. I wouldn't mind as a Warrior fan seeing the Grizzlies go through because I like Ja.
Oh, John Morant is just different, man.
I like the guy Clark. I like their team. I like Bane. The only one I don't like is the guy that got ejected. Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
I don't like him for some reason.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't like Draymond Green if he wasn't on the team that I support. So
I never had anything against Dylan. You know, that
was a bad play, though. That was a bad play.
It was a bad play. You know, nobody.
I don't want to keep going on about it, but that was a bad play.
It was, but you know, let's go back to what you just said before. You know, with Draymond Green, if he wasn't on your team,
that's a fact.
likes him.
Yeah, one thing I am is honest about that shit. So Steve Kerr shouldn't be out there because Draymond has hurt a few guys as well. So that's kind of hypocritical for him to say that.
Very hypocritical.
What I was saying before with Doc Rivers, if AK comes back, is that like exactly as he elaborated, like his fears and his paranoias are affecting the way he coaches now, and it's hindering the team from moving forward. Like if anybody has noticed, Philly has had Tobias Harris for now maybe 4 years. He was trending upward before he got to Philly. If anybody remembers, Tobias Harris was on the Clippers. He was trending upward, man. He got a big contract and all of that. And now he's just like, I feel like they're too comfortable. They don't hold the vets accountable and they don't develop their younger players unless you're like really good on your own. Like people give Doc Rivers credit for the Celtics winning a championship in 2008. Yo, KG was the coach of that team, bro. Doc couldn't say shit. Doc told KG to come out. KG told Doc, I ain't coming out, bro. Tell Big Baby go back and sit on the bench. Dead ass. So like who really had the control? So I mean, Doc, I like him. Liked him more as a player. I don't think he's suitable for what Philly had. Philly should have been closer to the finals before this. And when he got the baton, I feel like he fumbled it a little bit. I'm not sure who is responsible for bringing James Harden. These guys got to stop living in the past. If you're not looking at like a Devin Booker or
Isn't
one
Daryl
of those
Morey there?
hybrid guys that's now, huh?
Isn't Daryl Morey the GM?
That's Daryl Morey, certainly.
Right.
That's his guy.
That's his
But
guy. That's who
that was a
brought in James
terrible.
Harden.
But then that's what I'm saying. That's for more of them. That's for more of them than it is for the team. Because if you look at the team, you need somebody to help Maxey. Like you don't let Maxey at this young age get so many miles on his body. You they like thrust him into a role. He should still be developing, bro. They're gonna spoil him as a player, and I think he's a great young talent, but they're giving him too many responsibilities too early. Tyrese, we need 25, and then we need you to D up this guy. Come on, man. The guy's like 19.
Well,
He would be a junior in college right now.
That's what I'm saying, man. You got to take it easy with these young guys.
well, that's the responsibility that Rivers should be taking on, kind of giving that role to Tobias Harris, right?
Right.
You know, because Tobias Harris is a freaking veteran. You know, he used to average almost 21 points a game.
Of course.
So
he got a max contract.
You know, so like I'm just not too sure what happened with Tobias. You know, kind of losing a little bit of who he was. You know, because he should be your third main scorer. You know, but if Tyree Maxey gives you that like every 4 games, that's great. But now you're asking Tyree Maxey to be your second to third scorer, which shouldn't be. That should be Embiid. It should be Harden. Right. And then it should have been Tobias Harris. But if Maxey goes in there once in a while and goes off like he has, that's right. Okay. But you know, to put so much pressure on this kid right now
from so young, man.
You know, because
you're not spoiling him.
It was never supposed to be that way for Maxey.
Exactly.
Right. You know,
he was supposed to come in and do what he does and learn, sit on the bench, learn. Right.
Know? So I get it. But look, let's go back to Doc Rivers. You know, real quick, he doesn't belong in a big city. That's it. You know, like he can't coach. Los Angeles got rid of him. Boston got rid of him. Philly's about to. Philly
his
should
style.
Be rid of him. You know,
his style is outdated like Belichick. Sorry to cut you off, but I'll forget if I don't say it now. Doc Rivers breeds comfort. There can be no growth out of comfort. Doc Rivers asks the guys what time they want to practice. And if you don't want to practice the day before the game when we're traveling, bro, you go to Miami, you go to Golden State and some of these other teams, they run the show. You know what I'm saying? The players don't say, listen, Doc, we're not practicing tomorrow and get it done. Like, that's not the way it works. Greg Popovich would never go for some shit like that.
No.
And that's the difference.
But that's really weird that you're saying that, knowing that Ben Simmons was there. And
that's what I'm saying.
Left, you know, still wanted to get traded.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Because he was like, yo, Ben Simmons probably realized that he needed somebody to tighten up around him. Some people need that. Yo, I heard people beg OGs in the hood. OG, if you see me slipping, yo, please. I need that shit, yo. Because some people need to be kept in check. Ben Simmons doesn't know what he needs. He needed to be on a regimen. He needed to be told what to do. He needed to be told, listen, bro, you need this shot. If you can't make this 3, you need this mid-range. Look at DeMar DeRozan, for crying out loud. He was almost the MVP this season. He's the mid-range champion. Like, there's no excuse, man. There's no excuse, man.
Question. If does Embiid come back at all, or is he done for the
series?
They
said after game 3, maybe. They said maybe for game 3 or 4.
They have to recheck
the orbital fracture.
He's in concussion protocol. Besides, I think the orbital fracture, he could play with the mask, but he has to clear the concussion protocol. That minimum 5 days. Game 3 would be 8 days.
Yeah. So
have you ever seen? I've rarely, and obviously you see it in combat sports a bit, but most times people get a concussion. It's not from getting an elbow to the cheek or right here. It's usually the head.
Right.
Which the only reason I'm saying that is hopefully it means it's a little less serious.
Right. Milder.
But Doc Rivers, I think Doc Rivers is actually a generally okay. Like, I don't think I get what you're saying. Like, I think some of his concepts are certainly outdated, but I think he's generally a decent regular season game day coach. Like,
Right.
he has 29 assistant coaches. They all come up with a plan, and they usually have a pretty decent plan. The problem is, and I probably could just say this statement and let Mike use the rest of the show, he doesn't do adjustments at halftime.
Right. But see,
Like,
he's like the kindergarten teacher that lets the kids run around for 7 hours and then wants them to concentrate for one. Like, you can't allow these habits in the regular season and then want to tighten up in the playoffs. These guys are already used to. Philly's is a big city. Philly's a nightlife city. Like, you got to keep guys in check. You got to get your vets. You got to make sure the vets is staying on the young guys. Like, you got to have the shit set up.
That's Daryl Morey, man.
I know. But it's sad, though, because Philly
coaching
got
isn't
talent, man. They got talent down there, bro.
I just think that Rivers can't adjust to when his scheme is getting beat in a game.
Right. Like Steve Nash couldn't. Steve Nash was terrible. Yo, Steve Nash made 0 adjustments, bro.
0.
He just took his ass whooping and left. That's it.
All right, I got a question. Give me your final matchup.
Final matchup for me, it's looking like the Bucks against my Warriors.
That's what I want to say that, but I really think it depends if Middleton plays, man.
Is he coming back? What's his timeline?
They might say like maybe towards the end of the series, not too sure yet, you know. So it's really because if they don't win the series, obviously, I feel like, you know, what the Boston Celtics did in Game 2, I think they figured out something, right? But obviously, the Bucks missed a lot of shots. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if that's going to continue to happen because Gianni started I think he missed like his first 6-7 shots, you know, and it's hard to come back when you know that it's just always going to be a defensive struggle between both teams. But if you get a Chris Middleton, that just opens up so much more, man.
It does.
And that's why I'm hoping that he comes back because you know, I want them to beat the Celtics because it looks like, sorry to say, if Embiid doesn't come back and if Philly doesn't win Game 2, it looks like the Heat is going to basically make it to the conference finals. And I wouldn't mind watching that matchup again because they faced each other the last 2 seasons in the playoffs, and each one has basically knocked each other out, right?
Right. So this will be the decider, right?
This would be like more of the decider, and in the Eastern Conference Finals as well.
Right.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it. That's a great point.
Yeah, facts.
They're the last 2 who represented the conference, huh? Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and they both knocked each other out, you know?
Right.
Obviously, you know, and on the Western Conference, like, I'm kind of rooting for the Warriors just for the fact that I've always been big on team. I think they play a very good team play, even though I know they got
man.
They still play like a team.
Yeah, you know? Like you can teach kids how to play basketball watching the Warriors.
You know, I love it. You know, there's a lot of motion involved. There's a lot of picks. There's a lot of cuts to the basket. Like like you said, you want a kid to watch basketball. That's basketball right there.
Yeah.
You know, and don't get me wrong, I think the Miami Heat as well play a good brand of basketball.
Oh, they're starting to share it around a lot, man. Tyler Hero is the truth.
Tyler Hero, 6th man of the year.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that guy's the truth.
The thing is, the only thing is that once they feel like, you know, it's a tight game, you know, they throw it to Jimmy, you know, and it's like Jimmy's got to go figure it out. While I think with the Warriors, I think like there's still a lot of cutting involved.
Right.
Regardless.
It's just playing. It's just playing. Fluid playing.
While Steph still has the ball, but Steph will be a playmaker at the same time instead of just always shooting the ball.
Steph sacrifices himself so many times. You have to watch the Warriors play. So
I love the
way
they do
this baseline. I
love the way they play, man.
They do this baseline. Half Steph pretends like he's running to the left side, and then he gets a screen from Looney, and he goes back, sprints back to the right corner for a 3. Bro, he did that like 3 times last night to get Andrew Wiggins a shot. Okay, so he's still running back and forth, but not for himself.
Okay, who do you got in the finals?
I think it's all dependent upon Middleton's health, and if Middleton comes back if they beat the Celtics, which I think they will, and Middleton comes back for the next round, I think it's a slight edge to Milwaukee, but with or without Middleton, I think that the Miami could win. They could win that conference. And then on the other side, I think it's going to be a fascinating Warriors versus Suns series because there's a better chance that some way Memphis maybe beats Golden State, though I wouldn't bet on that. I'm taking Golden State. I don't think Dallas is beating Phoenix.
They're not. They can't.
So Phoenix or Golden State. I'm gonna go with Golden State. It's funny, man. Like they're not a team. Even when they were dominant, like they weren't a team you could hate until Durant went there, just because they were humble. They were not number 1 and 2 pick in the drafts, right? Oh, he's too small. Clay's too slow. Draymond's a second round pick. Like, they weren't a team that you could hate. But once they were like legit, I didn't want them. I didn't like, you know how it is. You never want to, you want the underdog always. But now they're almost the underdog in that area, right? So,
bro, they did it again. Look at what they did again. They quietly turned Jordan Poole into a guy that's going to get some money now. He's going to get paid at the end of this contract, bro.
Monster. Yeah, he's playing.
Did they say anything about Middleton? You said he may come back?
Yeah, he may come back.
Okay.
Yeah. Like he's like, and I'm hoping for it, man.
I would like everybody to be at full strength in the playoffs. I hate when a team that should be a contender has to be humble because of I hate that shit.
Yeah, and the top 4 teams are those teams, right?
Right.
Does anybody think that Memphis is winning that series?
No, they're not.
No, I don't think they are.
They're not.
The heart that they're showing, man. I love.
Does anybody think Boston's winning that series?
I have to see Milwaukee's adjustment tomorrow.
Yeah,
I have to see Milwaukee's adjustment for Game 3 because Boston did some one-on-one with Grant Williams. Grant Williams is a man-child.
Very good defender. Very good defender.
Giannis is going into his chest, and that guy's not moving. So that worked a little last night. If it continues to work, Giannis gonna have some issues. But we'll see. We'll see, man. That's why I like those coaches. Udoka and the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks constantly thinking of some shit to do next.
Yeah.
I mean, Brook Lopez went off yesterday.
Brook Lopez is an exceptional basketball player. He just looks weird, so people don't give him the credit.
he just kept on fouling too quick, so like he couldn't stay in as much, because even when the Celtics were up by about 15-20, you just felt like the Bucks eventually were going to chip into the lead. But he was helping. Then he just fouled. They had to take him off because he was at 5 fouls, and it's just they couldn't just pick up the ground. But again, I think it just really depended on Chris Middleton because obviously, Chris Middleton could shoot, he could score, and he could spread the floor for everybody. But the one thing I will say about the Warriors, though, and I think what's gonna hound them is the center, because if you got to play Phoenix Suns, Ayton's gonna eat up Looney.
Yeah, but Draymond don't give him position around the basket.
Draymond's gonna guard him, and if he could guard Jokic a little bit, he's gonna guard Ayton.
Draymond could guard him. No, Draymond could guard him, bro. It's a bad matchup for Ayton because Draymond's stronger lower, and he pushes him away from the basket.
I got you, man, but it's still gonna be hard for Draymond.
Ayton starts inside out. But think about this for a last remark before we get out of here. The NBA Defensive Player of the Year
is hurt,
misses a game,
and
the Celtics beat the Bucks.
Hold them to like 80 points without the defensive player of the year. That's crazy. Their defensive schemes are crazy.
Man.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you actually went at the beginning, the Bucks couldn't hit a shot at the beginning, like the first.
Bro, it was bad. It was bad.
And that's where basically the Celtics never just they kept on playing defense. Those games are going to be so grinding out that it's just like nobody better miss a shot for about 5 minutes, because if you miss a shot for 5 minutes, you're going to probably lose that game.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what we're going to close with. I want to give everybody a shout out. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing. Look, take a trip into our living room. Come in, talk to us. Let us know what your thoughts are on the NBA, the NFL draft. Well, how'd your team do? Are you happy with the way your team drafted? Are you disappointed?
I am.
Let us know. Well, check this out. This has been the Sports is My Love Language podcast. I'm here with my crew, El Colombiano, a.k.a. Javito, my man Major Money, a.k.a. Dre, my man Bra, a.k.a. Ekil, a.k.a. No, I got that one wrong. Yeah, man, we're excited to have you here. What do you call it? Join us every Wednesday night where we come into our living room where we show you, man, we can talk, we can disagree, and still be cool about it. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. Peace.
Hey.